Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, people, earthlings, critical thinkers. It's evening here. I'm not quite sure what time it is, but the sun's going low. So I thought I'd do a video for the day because today has been a really eventful day. And I have to say, I'm exhausted, guys. I am absolutely exhausted. Not from working on the boat, not from cleaning the boat. From narcissists. Now I'm going to quote the fabulous H.G. Tudor here, and some of you very wise people. Now he did a video about a year ago about this very type of thing. I think it's a YouTube thing. I don't know. But he was basically saying when you have one YouTuber who falls out with another YouTuber, or one YouTuber comes and attacks another YouTuber, he said basically it's best to ignore the situation because it is a narcissistic situation where a YouTuber be doing their business, getting about their business, and another YouTuber comes and attacks them. It could be a ploy for clicks, it could be a narcissist. And the YouTuber who's been attacked feels the need to do another video correcting lies. But then the narcissist will come and do another video adding new lies, which then makes the first YouTuber feel the need to do a video correcting the new lies, and then the narcissist does another video with even more new lies, and so it goes on. And I'm sorry, I'm fucking exhausted with it, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not into care in the community. Anyone can open a YouTube channel. It's no different to society. You're going to get all kinds of people, have all kinds of YouTube channels, and occasionally you're going to come across a narcissistic nutter. And there is a woman who is clearly very, very ill and has no relationship with the truth, which brings me to Meghan Markle, which is basically where I came in on this in the first place. Because where I was working at Dolphin Safari, Graham and I suffered about 10 years of this. So I'm going to give you just a loose story of how I first really got into it. Now, I've always watched the royal family. I've always been interested in the royal family. But they were always escapism for me, because they're very impartial people by their nature, and they wear tiaras and stuff like that I like. So if someone was stressing me out in the evenings, I would go on the internet and look up what the royal family's been up to do. And that was like my de-stressor. Since Meghan Markle married into the family, oh my God, it's become like stress. Anyway, these narcissistic psychopaths, and I hope H.G. Tudor would relate to what I'm saying. Their tactic was always attack, 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 bait, 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 bait. And we and our work colleagues would ignore. But of course, everyone's human. People have a point where they snap. And it was the moment that anybody snapped, they would throw themselves to the ground, scream for an ambulance, scream for the police. Oh, officer, 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 it was awful. And then the victim would be like, oh my God, have you got any idea how often this person has... Now, it's the same with Meghan. How many interviews? And Harry, how many interviews? And the book, and the Netflix series, and the constant digs. It's baiting, 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 for whatever reason. I believe their baiting initially was revenge. I believe they were thrown out of the royal family. And I believe it was revenge. And obviously now they've lost the Netflix deal. Oh, and there's more juicy tea come out about that. The Sun newspaper and People magazine backing up the Sun newspaper, I'm shocked to see. Perhaps someone hasn't paid their bill with Five Friends magazine. They are basically saying that another Hollywood insider who's involved with Netflix has come forward with more details of basically saying, yes, the deal's over. Of course, Five Friends magazine have tried to soften the blow by saying, Oh, it's a mutual parting of the ways. Mutual? Oh, so Harry and Meghan don't want the $100 million deal renewed. What's mutual about that? And how many other staff that have left, they've said, oh, it's mutual. I mean, I think it's got to run over to 100 now, hasn't it? Of members of staff who've left. Oh, it was mutual. Really? So there's all these, and for People magazine to say, well, it's not just that they're dumping Harry and Meghan. Netflix are moving away from those type of long-term arrangements. They've separated from Michelle and Obama. Michelle and Barack Obama. What? Was their show shit too? I don't know, I never watched it. It's not the kind of thing that would interest me or grab me. I mean, he was the president, she was the first lady, and they're not anymore. So, I suppose I would read stuff about Jackie O, but I mean, that was different. There was a lot going on there, wasn't there? And her, of course, the president was assassinated, and there was the Marilyn Monroe angle, and Jackie was very glamorous and then went on to a second marriage and everything. You know, there's a lot with Jackie O. I love her. Anything, you know, I'll watch that. But the Obamas, you know, they strike me as the type of people who are very careful, nicey what they say, and, you know, blah, 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 like a word salad. And I'm really not into that. I'm sure they're very nice people. But so People magazine are like, oh, it's okay, Netflix done. I don't know if they were with Netflix even, but People magazine said something like, oh yeah, Netflix were doing projects with them and they've stopped that. So, you know, Harry and Meghan are in good company. All the cool people now are mutually separating from Netflix. Really, they must think we're stupid. I think some people do think we're stupid, don't they? And I mean, it's clearly an illness. I mean, I've often said I think HG Tudor's channel is a public service. It's somewhere that people can go when they're suffering this, and they can have some light relief. I mean, as I say, I think we suffered about 8 years of absolute sheer hell with our two. They weren't just narcissists, these two, they're like psychopaths as well. And then I saw The Crown, the Netflix thing, Netflix oddly enough. And it was the very first season, and I was very impressed with the girl who played the Queen. And it started to make me think about the late monarch. Of course, she wasn't the late monarch then, she was the Queen then. And I thought, you know, the one quality I always really admired about Elizabeth II was that she never said anything, or very little. She never gave the game away. She kept everybody guessing. And I really admired that about her from when I was very young. I used to say to my parents, why doesn't she speak up? Why doesn't she defend herself? And they were like, royal family don't do that. Of course they do sometimes, like they had to release a statement after the Oprah thing with Meghan and Harry. Of course they did. There are moments that even the royal family will come forward and say this is completely unjustified. But I mean, I'm just exhausted at the moment. I've got a lot going on in my life with, obviously, life changes. And I do not have time. I have spent a lot of time over the last few days doing editing of various sorts, which takes a lot of energy. And I'm not going to sit here sifting through other people's lies on YouTube. All I can say to everybody is do what you do with the sugars, hold them to account, ask them for evidence where the royal family have ever actually done anything wrong, because you see this with Meghan. She says one thing and her sugars are there just lying, trying to make out things happened in a different way. And equally, if you see things on YouTube about any YouTuber, ask the person accusing for evidence, link and timestamp. And if they say, oh, the offender deleted the evidence, well, isn't that convenient? I think a lot of you that have been with me a long time, who've seen all of my lives and all of my videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this person I'm talking about, who is a YouTuber, is clearly a mental patient. And I'm not a doctor. I can't deal with this. I've seen other YouTubers try. Something is wrong there. Something is very, very wrong. And it's not my problem. I'm too fucking tired of this bullshit. And if anyone out there believes lies without evidence, then go be with the lunatic channel. Just go, please. And leave us critical thinkers here to work on Meghan and Harry. Because to me, this is a distraction. I don't know why. Mental illness, perhaps money for clicks, perhaps other nefarious reasons. I've no idea. But I am not playing the game. I'm following H.G. Tudor's advice. I'm tired. And he's right. It never ends. With a person who's willing to lie, like Meghan, like Harry, like some YouTubers, they will just continue to lie. In fact, actually, I mean, I've met liars, like, big time, just in passing. You know, you must have met them. You meet someone and they go, oh yeah, I was in the SAS. I was one of the ones on the balcony with the Iranian embassy. Have you ever met people like that? Well, I don't know about you, but I never challenge them or go, well, that's bullshit, you bullshitter. Because I know it's going to end up in a pointless argument. And that this fantasist will continue insisting that they're in the SAS. And the evidence is they've got a swallow tattooed on their hand. You know, I have met, coming from Brighton, I have met many James Bonds. I have met all of the people who were on the balcony at the Iranian embassy. I have met people who are related to the royal family. I have met time travelers from the future. I have met them all. I don't know why Brighton attracts them, but I've met them all. And generally when you meet those kind of people, you just humour them and go, all right, that's cool. That's great, you know. I thought it was in the 1980s. You're only about 22 years old. But no, because it's a pointless exercise to point out to a bullshitter, you're a bullshitter, because they just double down and then they start getting angry when their lies fall apart. I've shown you guys enough evidence. There are other videos on this channel, but I beg of you, link and timestamp. And if the accuser says, oh, they deleted it, they privatized it. Oh, how convenient. And I shall leave you all with that thought. I hope you all have a wonderful evening this evening. And we shall survive this Meghan thing. And maybe when she's set example of finally, well, other people might realise and think, I better stop lying, because I might end up like Meghan and Harry. At the moment, liars might think, oh, if I lie, I could get $100 million deal from Netflix. And I could get an interview from Oprah. And I could like Meghan and Harry and just lie through my arse. But one day when they get their asses smacked and served up to them on a plate, well, then maybe liars might think, ooh, might be more careful, or at least it will give us all a signpost to say to people, look, you don't want to end up like those two, do you? Thank you all very much for listening, and may your God go with you.